See, civil service, as you all know, that it is the most tough exam, so-called tough exam, because everybody who writes any exam says that is the toughest exam. So we also claim the same thing, that is the toughest exam. But if you see those people who have cleared it, you will be wondering, is this the toughest exam? This person has cleared it. There are so many such moments when we are preparing, we'll be wondering, how did he clear? Might be the exam is a bit easier this time. Let me also try. So I'm going to take you through my life journey, and I also want to dispel some myths which concerns the examination part. The two types of myths: one, after you became a civil servant; the second one is before you became a civil servant. After thing, we'll have it for another talk. That's a huge one. The first one is, before you became a civil servant, what are the myths are there? Many people have a lot of myths about writing a civil service examination. So when people come to me, they first ask me, I hope it is your childhood dream. I was, what? Childhood dream? As everybody, as in a childhood, I always wanted to become a doctor. When in my class, my teacher asked, what do you want to become? 60% doctors, 40% engineers. We don't know anything else. At least now the kids know something else is there. You people are coming here, T Hub is there, colleges are there. But for us, 15, 20 years back, we know only two things. And people will value us only for those two things. If I say any other thing, they will not value us. So till my 10th class, anybody ask me, I'll say doctor. So where did the civil service came from? I said, no, it is not everybody's dream. You ask any civil servant, might be a son of a civil servant might tell, I want to become a civil servant. First time civil servants, nobody has the ambition earlier. Especially those people who are in the city bred people, they don't know who is a collector, who is a commissioner. They only know IPS officers because they come in movies. So they all want to become an IPS officer. Salman Khan, Dabang. They all like. So I saw one of my batchmate in Patna. He was the Dabang IPS officer. He was SP of Patna, my batchmate. He was called as Dabang officer. It should have been other way around, right? But anyway, the first myth is that nobody comes here with a dream to become an IAS officer. It happens. Anybody can enter at any stage. It need not be that you have to carry the dream from your childhood. Second question they asked me, then how come you became an IAS officer? What motivated you? There should be some event which motivated you to become an IAS officer. So here it starts, okay, after 10th class. There was an exam called Vocational Course for Railway Commercial. I know for sure 99% or 100% would not have heard about this examination. So was I. One of my classmates' mother, I don't know whether she took pity on me or what, she gave me the form, asked me to apply. So I applied, wrote the exam, RRB conducted it, we got cleared, and suddenly they said, look, it's a job link course, you have to do your 11th and 12th with railways as one of the subject, you have to write your examination, and then you'll be given a job. Exciting. So my doctor gone. So I came inside, wrote the examination. 40 people were selected from 4 states. All over India, the total selections made was 9 zones at that time, railway zones, now it is 16. So 9 into 40, 360 people. Some people drop out, around 320 per year. Nobody knew about this. Even we also didn't knew. So 11th and 12th over, we thought we'll go to college, they put us in railway stations. 17 years. I was 17 years when I took up the job in railways. I still remember the day when we landed up in the railway station. Early morning, 2 o'clock, it's some godforsaken railway station called as Kadalur Port Junction in Tamil Nadu. I have heard about Kadalur 2 times when cyclone hit it. I've never heard about that railway station. I got down the railway station, early morning 2 o'clock, went to one of the employees there and asked that I have come to join in this station. They looked at me and said, so young, 17 years. I said, what? This is their appointment order. Okay, lie down. Where? Bench. Lied down, morning got up, went to the station master, gave me station report. 7 years I worked in railways. Slept in platforms only because, they don't give houses to us. I'm a bachelor. Not even 18, but still I'm a bachelor, so no house. So I've stayed in railway stations, took bath in railway reservation, retiring rooms by telling those attendants, please let me take bath. So many things have happened, but the most important thing which has happened to me during those 7 years is these 40 people into 9, the 360 people, the friendship I have got still continuing tonight till today with families. The second thing I have gained from there is interacting with public day in and day out, which has shaped my life like anything. Interactions, communications, these are the two important things which will help you in anything. How you perceive a person comes from interaction only. You can't learn it from books. It was 1999, Odisha super cyclone. I was not community conscious also, mind. It's not that, okay, I know what is happening around me. I'm reading newspapers like anything. I'm so worried about what is happening in the country. No, most of us are. During the super cyclone time, one of our superior officers, railway officers, she said, why don't we all go and do some relief work there in Orissa? So 10 of us packed. We collected a lot of clothes, food material, everything. Went to Puri, got down. From there by bus, we went to a district called Kendrapara, which was affected by the super cyclone, 99, in December. We saw the destruction which has happened there. Right from on the way itself, we've seen the trees, completely gone. Everything gone, the super cyclone. I've never seen such things. It was an eye-opener for people like me who have not really bothered about what is happening in the society or what is happening around us. 10 of us, 10 days, we stayed there, we did relief work, we came back. So you can call it coming of the age moment. Okay, you realize that, okay, something is there which we are missing in our life. Till the time, railways, job, monthly 4,000, 4,500 was my salary at the time. So I used to get it, go home, doing nothing. Then we all sat together and then we were discussing what should we do. The same group which we were talking about, the vocational course for railway commercial, VCRC we call it. We all sat together and discussed, we should do something. So what is the alternative? What we can do? So one option came is civil service. So that's how my interest in civil service came into being. Not because anybody else wanted, no, it's not my childhood dream, anything else. So we thought, okay, let us prepare for civil service. Let us do something. I never went to college. You might have noticed, after 12th, I straight away went to the job. I worked for 7 days. So I had to do my degree through distance education. So all these people, everybody who has got into railways job, everyone did it through distance education. I joined BCom, got into Madras University, distance education. I'll go only to write exams. Contact classes also I cannot go. Weekly 2 classes I cannot go. I go and write the exam and come back. Right after finishing the degree, we started giving attempts to the UPSC. So as you all know, I was working. So many people will be wondering, what happens if you are working? I don't have time to prepare for all those things. I say them, see, during our time in railways, in railway stations, you won't get time at all. You get free time only after 12 o'clock in the night. When the last train leaves, you close the counter, count everything, give it to the cashier, then only you will come out. So we used those time between 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, many of us, and started preparing for civil services. And we wrote exams while working in railways. So third myth. Hard work, 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours. Is it required? Really required? I don't think so. People might tell you 16 hours a day, 365 days a year, like that 1.5 years to 2 years. If you do that, you will become a civil servant. 90% people run away. Please sir, I am not for this. Let me go for an easier option. But practically I am telling you, most of that cases, it is not like that. Have you seen anybody really putting their mind for 16 hours? No. They might sit in front of the book for 16 hours, but you all know the concentration. I saw the one of the presentation, they say, click, it goes off your attention. Swipe, goes off your attention. And you are going to tell me that 16 hours you are going to hold your attention on a book? Bullshit, no. Definite no. I'll tell you. And if anybody claims here, then he is a zombie. Definitely a zombie. So that is the third myth, which is not at all true. Anybody who can put in quality time of 3 to 4 hours, quality time of 3 to 4 hours, that is enough for them to get into civil service. Nothing else is required. Okay, then they ask me, you must be very intelligent. You must be the topper of your class every time. I tried. I really tried. My classmates didn't allow me to. What will I do? It's not my fault. But still, I cleared civil services. It has nothing to do with that. You might have gone to the wonderful college in the country. Yes, railway station. Wonderful college. I have learned so much. Nobody can ever teach me all those things. Nobody, not a single day is same in a railway station. Wonderful experience, wonderful. All those things I am carrying on till now also I know how to tackle people when I see people, because at the age of 17, 18 itself it has been done. I have learnt there. So that myth is also not correct. You need not be the topper of your class, topper of your batch, gold medalist in your degree. No. That is nothing to do with your civil service preparation. That has nothing to do with after you have become an IAS officer and what you are going to do in the field. No. It has nothing to do with it. So don't worry about all those things, about whether you are topper or you are at the bottom. What UPSC expects is very simple. They expect do you have the aptitude for the job? Do you have the attitude for the job? All other things is taken care of. A training is given to everybody. 2 years we are being put to training. After that, we are also, when we go to field also, we learn. If we have the right aptitude and attitude, that is enough. Nothing else is required. So these are some of the myths I thought I will, because my time is already up. So I have to finish it. So these are some of the myths which many people think it's an impediment for preparation. Coaching institute is another thing. Many people ask, did you go for coaching? Might be your coaching is excellent. So I have different take on coaching. See, coaching institutes or coaching atmosphere, it is useful because you get to meet people who are sharing your own dreams, and you get to share notes, your ideas and other things, and you also get to know where to look for, what to look for, because UPSC is such a thing, it's too vast. It's too vast. There is no one right answer or one wrong answer for it. It is how you pursue a situation that matters. For that, you will have to interact with people and exchange ideas. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. Last one is family support. So what is family support which we are talking about? There will be 4 people who will say, right, good, better, you will become an IAS officer, good. There will be another 4 people who will always say, बेकार के काम कर रहा है वो, ask him to go, I will get him a clerk's job somewhere, ask him to join, at least he will earn 15-20,000. He is already in a highly paid job, he is working in US in a software company. Why he wants to leave that and come back and write civil service? Let him not do it. Failures are part of preparation. First time success, very rare. 3-4 times people sit and write exam after exam after exam, and then only they clear. You must have that patience, you must have the perseverance. If you don't have it, you are not fit for that job at all. You are not fit for the job. If you don't have the patience, how are you going to sit and design on the policy of the country? You are not fit for it. If you say that, okay, I am a fly-by-night operator, I will try this. If it's not working, I am going to try that. If that is not working, I am going to try that. No, that is not how a country is governed. You must have the patience and perseverance to prepare, analyze and execute. So this quality during your preparation itself you gather, and then you implement when you come back and do your work in the field. Another things, you have cleared the exam. Great, you are very happy. So you what do you think? पहुंच गए हम. We have arrived. like what Arnold says, na, I am back. Types, here I am. But is it so? Do you think that you have actually arrived? And if you have arrived, where have you arrived? I'll tell you, that is where it starts. You have not even started. It's like, no, I hope everybody has seen Bahubali. He goes on the top of the waterfall. You have reached there. Congratulations. But now the whole expanse of the whole kingdom and the universe stands in front of you. You have to do so many other things. You have just reached the top. And from there, now you are seeing everything. You have not even started your maiden steps. So you must not think that entering civil service is your aim or your goal. Doesn't help. Your goal should be something else. This is only an entry point for you. If you have that thought in mind, I'll tell you will definitely excel in whatever you do. Thank you very much.